Saros isn't just a great PlayStation 5 title. It is a title that exemplifies how far Housemarque Studios has come, showcasing why they're one of PlayStation's best first party studios. Essentially, Saros is the spiritual successor to Returnal, taking everything that was great about it, dialing it up to 11, while taking every concern and addressing it, making Saros the perfected form of what Returnal was. So let's get into it. First and foremost, let's talk about the things that the game addresses right off the hop. First and foremost, the game prompts you with a notification telling you that it will save your state if you close your game, so long as you are not in a boss fight. So long as you're not in a boss fight, you can save your run. This was something that was not present in Returnal during launch. They did add it later on, but it is present here at launch, which is great to see. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that if you have a saved state, you cannot update your game, because if you update the game, you will lose that run entirely. So I would recommend finishing your run before you update your game, if there is an update. Aside from this, once you get into the nitty gritty, what you see is what you'll expect if you've played Returnal. And if you haven't, what this game is it's a third person bullet hell dodge speranza roguelite game with intense action that is incredibly addicting and satisfying to play through. Whether you are fighting random enemies in a room or fighting one of the many epic bosses, the game delivers on its combat, and it is some of the best third-person shooting action you'll ever find in any video game, bar none. Housemarque Studios knows their niche, and they know how to do it right, and this is no different. Saros is arguably some of the best combat you'll find in any third-person shooter, and I can't speak any highly of it than I already have. The bosses themselves, the bosses were great. Every boss encounter was unique. They had their unique aesthetics, but also their unique strategies and how you take them down. And they all have multiple phases, and it's a blast to play through, and chances are it will take most people more than one attempt to beat majority of the bosses, because they are tough. And that brings me to the next big elephant in the room with regards to Saros, and that is difficulty. The criticisms for Returnal was that Returnal was a very hard game. And it was hard for a variety of reasons. Not only was it punishing in its design, but the progression wasn't very good. In Returnal, the progression was weak. You would have runs where you felt it was a waste because you didn't get any currency to level up your character to make them stronger, while simultaneously a lot of runs felt very RNG focused. Essentially, if you didn't get good lucky drops in Returnal, you would have a bad run and it would be felt like a waste of time. Whereas in Saros, this is not the case whatsoever. Progression has been addressed full stop. First and foremost, when it comes to the runs themselves, you have more creative freedom whenever you find items in terms of what you want to do, which one you want to pick, whether you want to re-roll. There's a lot of opportunities there to kind of alleviate the RNG aspect of it in a run. And then there's your skill tree itself. The skill tree itself features 3 different currencies. There's a basic currency which drops from every enemy. If you find this in abundance, you'll use this to buy things like health boosts as well as power boosts. And then you also have a finite currency. This finite currency can only be found throughout the biomes. There is a finite number of them, and you will have to choose wisely which upgrades you want, but they will upgrade the more powerful nodes that you would want, such as the reduction loss of the basic currency, because whenever you die in Returnal, you lose 50% of your basic currency. You can reduce that number by unlocking some of the more powerful nodes. The finite currency you will not lose upon death. If you die, whatever finite currency you have found, you will keep that and you can use it for upgrades. The third and final currency for the skill tree only drops from the bosses themselves, and they serve one purpose and one purpose only, which is to unlock the next section of your skill tree, which will also feature more powerful upgrades. Essentially, what this does is that so long as you don't start a run and die on the very first encounter, you will always earn currency that you can then use to make your character stronger. So every run, your character is going to be stronger, and then allows you to get further and further each run. This alleviates the RNG element of it while also making you feel like you're making progress towards completing the game and alleviate some of the frustrations that players have felt. Now, because you're getting stronger, naturally, that means the game gets a little bit easier. But let's just say the game is still too hard for you, or maybe it's too easy for you. Well, the good news is once you beat the second biome and boss, you'll unlock the ability to apply modifiers to your runs. There is a range at which you could work with, but basically you can make it a little bit easier or a little bit harder within that range, and you have to set these parameters before you start a run. Now, if that is not enough for you, you can go into the settings, and there's an option that allows you to circumvent that rule, and that you can make the game as easy as you possibly can or as hard as you possibly can. For testing purposes, I tested it out, and I basically turned on that setting, and I made the game as easy as I possibly could. Safe to say, on the ensuing run, I didn't die once, and I obliterated basically all the standard enemies. And the bosses, I had, with one of my abilities, I had the ability to drain half of a health bar of one of the bosses. That's how easy the game got once I applied the settings. So there is a lot of flexibility with Saros in terms of approachability and how people want to play the game or how difficult they want the game to be. The only catch-22 is, in order to unlock this feature, as far as I know, is you have to beat the second biome and boss. The first two biomes and bosses are basically your skill check. It tells you, it allows you to determine how hard or easy the game is going to be for you, and you can make the decision at that point what you want to do based on your preferences. Now, another thing that they addressed is the storyline. Returnal's storyline was very convoluted and hard to follow. In the case of Saros, they streamlined the story. The storyline is far more streamlined. You have cutscenes that happen in your base of operations with your other NPCs that help flush out the story as you progress through. It's far more easier to follow and understand. So, in comparison to Returnal, it is easier to follow along with the main protagonist and what's going on with the story. And just that's the theme of Saros. They took a lot of the criticisms and streamlined it to make it easier to just get through and have a good time while leaving the difficulty and the punishing of it up to the players. So I've spoken a lot of good about Saros. Saros, it looks good, it plays good. I played it on a base PS5 and it ran fantastic. But what are the negatives of Saros? Well, there's only two negatives of Saros, and both of them are pretty minor in my opinion. The first one is with regards to the game's performance. Specifically, cutscenes are done at 30 frames per second. Not all of them, but some of them are, and it's noticeable. It was a little bit of a distraction for me. I don't know why they made that decision, but sometimes there was performance drops that I noticed from the cutscene, as well as while the voice acting was really, really good, the facial animations weren't the greatest. The other issue is with regards to the main story itself. And it's not that the main story is bad, it's just the way it finishes, the way it ends, it fell flat in my opinion. Right? Some you may feel differently about it if you complete it for yourself. This is a little on the subjective side. But it fell a little flat for me in terms of the ending of the game, given the mystery of the world and what's going on. But aside from that, there was no complaints. I had an absolute blast playing Saros. I think Saros is a Game of the Year contender. Definitely high octane action, lot of fun, great mechanics, and it's just a blast to play. Housemarque has delivered once again. In my opinion, this is a game that is a must play for any PlayStation 5 owner. I'm giving Saros a 9.5 out of 10. This is Veteran Gamer, and I hope to see you guys next time.